The day my wife died, I thought my family would be the people who kept me standing. I was wrong. They stopped calling. They stopped visiting. They stopped asking if I was okay. So I cooked for them, called them, and waited. I waited for 10 years. Not one person showed up. Eventually, I sold the house, closed every account I had, packed what I could carry, and disappeared without telling anyone where I was going. I thought I had finally escaped the pain. Then, exactly 1 year later, my phone rang. I answered, and the first sentence I heard made my entire body go cold. My wife was the kind of person who made our house feel like home. She remembered everyone's birthday. She called my parents just to check on them. She cooked too much food because she always believed someone might stop by unexpectedly. And whenever my family had a problem, she was the first person they called. Then one morning, everything changed. My wife died unexpectedly. I don't remember much about the first few weeks afterward. I remember the funeral. I remember sitting in our bedroom surrounded by her clothes. I remember waking up at night and reaching across the bed before remembering she wasn't there. But more than anything, I remember looking at my phone. I expected my family to call. They didn't. At first, I understood. Everyone was grieving, so I waited. A week passed, then a month, then 6 months. Eventually, I decided I would be the one to reach out. I cooked the meals my wife used to make. I called my brothers. I called my parents. I invited everyone to dinner. I told myself that maybe if they came over, we could finally feel like a family again. Nobody came. I tried again the following month. Still nothing. Then I tried birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, anniversaries. Every year, I cooked. Every year, I called. Every year, I waited. And every year, the chairs around my dining table remained empty. 10 years passed. 10 years of waiting for someone to knock on my door. 10 years of telling myself, maybe next time. Eventually, I realized something painful. They weren't coming, not because they were busy, not because they were grieving. They simply didn't want to be part of my life anymore. That realization changed me. I sold the house. I closed my bank accounts. I canceled my old phone number. I gave away most of the things I owned. And without telling a single family member where I was going, I vanished. For the first time in years, nobody knew where I lived. And strangely, I felt free. I started over somewhere nobody knew my name. I found a small house. I learned how to live alone. I stopped checking my phone every few minutes. I stopped expecting someone to call. I thought the chapter was finally closed. Then 1 year later, my old number and account I had kept active for one final reason rang. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. There was silence on the other end. Then I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. It was my brother. My heart started racing. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask how I was. He didn't apologize. Instead, he said, "We know what you did." I froze. "What are you talking about?" There was another long silence. Then he said something that made me sit down, because suddenly, I understood why my family had disappeared from my life. The story I had believed for 10 years wasn't the whole story. There was something my wife had left behind, something my family knew about, something they had never told me, and now, after all those years, they wanted me to come back. But they were about to discover that the man who left 10 years earlier wasn't the same man who would answer that door. I spent 10 years believing my family had forgotten me because they didn't care. But sometimes the truth is more complicated than abandonment. Sometimes people stay silent because they're hiding something. And sometimes, when the truth finally comes looking for you, the hardest decision isn't whether to forgive them. It's deciding whether they deserve another chance to be part of your life. If your family disappeared after the death of the person you loved most, would you answer their call 10 years later, or would you leave the past where it belongs?